the cat bed. But the old man began to laugh evilly and locked all the ways out. Then he said, "If you manage to complete 3 tasks I give you, you will get $1 million. But if you fail, you'll stay in my castle forever. Here's the first task. Help me find my glasses among all these vegetables." Can you help Freddy? Here they are. The next task from the old man was to cook a potion and do it in the correct order. He gave Freddy this recipe. Can you help the guy? First of all, you gotta put curry. Then go for blueberries to make the potion look greenish. And finally, add tomatoes to make the potion look brown. As for these vegetables, Freddy doesn't need them. And the third task is to find a book in this messy room. Can you see it? It's half hidden inside the sofa. The old man gave Freddy his money, showed him the exit, and disappeared. But when Freddy tried to leave, he realized that the door was locked. It had a combination lock. Freddy found this mysterious note nearby. He has to get this right or he might stay trapped for a long time. What code will open the door? "2361. Each number corresponds to the number of circles in the first set of numbers. Now, Freddy was free to go. As soon as Freddy got out of the creepy castle, he decided to quit his job and go on a trip around the globe. First of all, he took a flight to Spain. On board the plane, he met Gloria. He asked what country she was from. Instead of answering, Gloria showed him this puzzle. Can you guess the country? That's right, she's from Ireland. Then Gloria asked Freddy what country he was from, and he showed her this puzzle. Can you guess his country? Cuba. Freddy landed in Madrid and went for a walk. He hadn't rented any hotel in advance, so he just wandered around the city, searching for a nice place to stay. Suddenly, Freddy noticed this cute little hotel and entered it. Big mistake. Why? See this zombie in the window? This place doesn't look safe. As soon as Freddy entered the creepy hotel, the door slammed behind his back. The guy saw 3 doors leading to freedom. Venomous spiders were crawling behind the first door. Behind the second door, arrows were flying at head height. And behind the third door, there was a black hole. Which door should Freddy choose? Can you help him escape? He should choose the second door. He can crawl under the arrows. After his adventure, Freddy decided to have lunch in the local cafe. But something's definitely wrong here. Can you figure out what it is? Look at this window. The view of the street is upside down. The waiter came over to Freddy to get his order. But suddenly, a woman at the next table began to shout, "Help me! Someone has put cockroaches in my soup!" The cafe manager questioned 3 suspects. The cook said that he had prepared the soup as usual. It was okay when he passed the dish to the waiter. The waiter said he hadn't touched the soup. He just served it to the woman and switched to another client, Freddy. The woman's husband said, "I wasn't there when my wife got the soup. I was washing my hands in the bathroom." Can you tell who's guilty? No one. Take a look at the ceiling. The cockroaches crawled out of the ventilation and several of them fell into the lady's soup. Freddy used a special app to rent a luxury apartment in Madrid. He found 3 options that he really liked. Mariana offered a cozy 2-story studio with a beautiful view. Diego had a penthouse near a park. And Camilla offered a high-tech villa. Which option should Freddy choose? This penthouse has a cracked glass roof, which is extremely unsafe. As for the third option, see the Eiffel Tower? Camilla's high-tech villa is in Paris, not in Madrid. So Freddy should choose the first studio. Freddy invited Mariana for a walk in the park. They walked a lot and got very tired. They decided to lie down on the grass and rest. Freddy woke up an hour later. Mariana had disappeared. Freddy started looking for her. Half an hour later, he fell into a big pit. It began to rain. The guy realized that the pit was going to get flooded. That was a big problem. Freddy couldn't swim. He found some stuff in the pit: a rope, a ball, and a bucket. How can Freddy get out? The ball will float up to the surface, and so will Freddy if he holds on to it. Freddy kept looking for Mariana. He came across a wizard's castle. The wizard had caught the girl and turned her into a frog. Freddy had to help her. The guy and the Mariana the frog found the wizard's book of potions. It described all the necessary antidotes. But first, the guys needed to understand which potion the wizard had used on Mariana. Freddy looked through the book. The first recipe included a slice of pumpkin, a slice of green apple, an orange wedge, and half a kiwi. The second recipe required a chamomile petal, 3 garlic cloves, and half of a red apple. The third potion should contain an orange wedge, a garlic clove, a banana peel, and a chamomile petal. Which potion did the wizard use? Take a look at the ingredients on the shelves. They only match the third recipe. Freddy helped Mariana turn back into a human. The wizard got very angry and teleported Freddy to jail. The guy was desperate. He had no idea how to escape. Suddenly, a creepy man opened the door and said, "Come on, I'm going to help you escape." Freddy followed him, but he slipped, fell to the floor, and hit his head. Freddy woke up in a pit. He didn't remember how he got there. If he went to the left, he would end up in the bathroom. If he went to the right, he would have to crawl through a tunnel filled with toxic waste that was leading outside. Which way should he choose? Freddy should go to the right. If he chooses the left corridor, he will end up in jail again. Look, this bathroom is on the territory of the jail. Freddy escaped, took a shower, and called Mariana right away. The wizard picked up the phone and said, "I have created enough evil clones of Mariana. I don't need her anymore. You can take her home now." Freddy rushed back to the wizard's castle and saw 4 Marianas. Can you help him find the real girl? This Mariana has claws instead of nails. She looks like a werewolf. This one has very sharp teeth and ears. She's probably a vampire. This lady has scales on her face. She's a mermaid. So the real Mariana is over there. Wendy got a new task to organize a music concert in a jazz club. There, she met 6 musicians, and all of them had tattoos on their shoulders. They offered Wendy to guess who was the last one to join their group. Can you help her crack this puzzle? They use letters in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E. So, this drummer is the newest member of the band because his tattoo includes the letter F. Wendy's boss gave her an envelope with money and asked her to give it to Dan. Wendy asked, "But how can I recognize him?" The boss said Dan wore a red hat. Wendy entered the concert hall. It was full of people, and Wendy saw many guys in red hats. Can you count exactly how many? It's 8. But which of these guys is the real Dan? Nope, not this guy with Dan written on his t-shirt, and not this guy with Dan on his tattoo. The real Dan is over here. Look at his badge. It says Dan. The rest of the guys have different names on their badges. Early in the morning after the concert, Wendy drank a cup of coffee, felt unwell, and fainted. 10 minutes later, she woke up in a weird basement. 4 doors could lead her either to freedom or into a trap. Behind the first door, there were hungry bats. Behind the second door, there were rabid foxes. Behind the third door, there were venomous tarantulas. And behind the fourth door, there were venomous snakes. Which door should Wendy choose? She should choose the first door. Bats are nocturnal animals. They sleep in the morning. Next day, Wendy received a task from Shelley. She was the owner of a small art store and needed help with sorting paints by color. Unfortunately, Shelley's cat mixed them all up. Can you see any odd color among all these paints? Here it is. What about these tubes? Are they all similar? Nope. Paints number 2 and 6 are different. Can you help Wendy spot the odd color here? Paint number 1 is a little darker than the rest. What about this box? These colors are the same. Take a look inside this box. Are there any paints that don't belong here? Well, this color is slightly different. What about these paints? Are they all the same? Nope. Paints number 1 and 2 are different. And finally, this box. Can you see the paint that doesn't belong? Tube number 8 looks different. Wendy got a job as a supermarket manager. She assigned night shifts to Vicky and Fiona. They had to restock food at a 24-hour supermarket at the mall. At first, the girls were afraid to go through the dark and empty mall to get to the supermarket, but they got used to it after a while. Once, Wendy came over at 3 a.m. to check on them. She found the cash register open and empty. Wendy asked the 2 girls only one question. What were you doing when the robbery took place? Vicky said, the shelves with chips were almost empty, so I went to the warehouse to get some more. But someone had rearranged all the boxes. I had to look for the right one for about 15 minutes. When I came back, the money was already gone. Fiona said, I had already finished restocking my section, so I decided to go and do a little shopping in the mall. I didn't know what happened while I was away. Can you guess who the thief is? Fiona. The robbery happened at night. All the other shops were closed. How could she go shopping? When Fiona got exposed, she ran away from the supermarket. Wendy decided to carry out her own investigation. It turned out that Fiona had 4 friends. Wendy was sure that Fiona was hiding in one of their houses. Since Wendy didn't work for the police, she couldn't get a search warrant and visit them. But she could examine the guys' Instagram accounts. Let's look through their fresh posts. Have you guessed who's hiding Fiona? This guy is not alone. Take a look at this hand over there. Do you recognize Fiona's nail polish? Gotcha! Wendy received a bonus from the supermarket owner for her help in catching the criminal. Now she can afford to go to Asia. Solve this puzzle to find out which country she's going to visit first. That's right, it's China. And which country is she going to visit after traveling around China? Japan. And where will Wendy fly after that? To Singapore. Great job! Wendy arrived at the airport. Suddenly, airport guards locked the doors and she heard an announcement. Attention all passengers! A dangerous criminal has escaped and is hiding inside the building. Please keep calm and be careful. The airport will resume its operations as soon as we find him. Wendy decided to visit the ladies' room. As soon as she entered the restroom, she called airport security. Why? Take a look at this shadow. The criminal is hiding in the second cabin. The criminal was caught and Wendy could continue her adventure. The girl checked in and went to the gate. On the plane, a handsome guy named Chuck approached her. He said that she had taken his place. Wendy showed him her boarding pass and told him that he was wrong. But Chuck kept insisting. Who's right? It's Wendy. Wendy's seat number is 16I, and the guy's boarding pass has number 19I.
5 people wake up in a huge hall. None of them remember who they are or how they got here. They see a giant closed door. The people look around the room and notice something strange. What is it? These statuettes! They are hidden all over the room. There are 5 people in the room, but they find 6 statuettes.
This must be the key, one man says. We need to find out which of the statuettes is the odd one.
Can you guess which one? This one. Its eyes are different from those of the others. The people try to use the odd statuette as a key.
Come on!
And it works! The door opens, and everyone enters the next room. But when the man who suggested using the statuettes looks around, he sees that he is alone in there. Suddenly, a ghost of a woman appears in front of him. "If you want to get out, each of you must solve my riddles," she says. "But you will definitely fail." She disappears. The man looks around the room. He finds a strange symbol and a cipher decoder on the table. Can you find 9 other symbols? These are all 10 symbols. The man begins to unravel the message using a decoder. Can you decipher it? It says page 52. The man opens the book lying on the table. On page 52, there's a riddle written in an ancient language. If you have me, you want to share me. If you share me, you haven't got me. What am I? The man immediately guesses the answer. Can you? It's a secret. The man is surprised that he was able to read the riddle written in an ancient language. The answer is the password to the door. He types it in, and the door opens. Suddenly, he remembers. His name is Thomas. He's a linguist and a cryptographer. Meanwhile, in another room, a young man finds himself in a beautiful place full of plants. There are 3 flowers on the table. They giggle maliciously. The sign in front of them reads, "Lying Flowers." The first flower says, "You'll never get out of here, and you'll never get rid of us. Just give up already." The second one says,
I don't remember how you can get rid of us. It was either cutting or uprooting us.
The third one says,
Uprooting and plucking us are both proper ways.
what should the guy do? Cut the flowers, uproot them, or pluck them? Pluck is the correct answer. These flowers only tell lies. So, the conclusions we can draw from their words are these. 1. There is a way to get rid of them. 2. It is neither cutting nor uprooting. 3. And there's only one way to remove them. The only thing that remains is plucking. The guy plucks the flowers. He notices that glowing letters appear on their petals. The letters need to be put together to get the answer. What is it? The word is basket. The guy examines the basket and finds a folded note at the bottom. He unfolds it and reads this riddle. In a pond, there are some flowers with bees hovering over them. How many flowers and bees are there if both of the following statements are true? 1. If each bee lands on a flower, one bee won't get a flower. 2. If every 2 bees share a flower, there is 1 extra flower. Can you help the guy crack this riddle? There are 4 bees and 3 flowers. Suddenly, a sunflower bud appears on the table. The guy uses it as a key to the door, and it opens. And then he remembers. His name is John, and he's a gardener. In another room, a girl finds herself surrounded by beautiful crystals and gemstones. On the wall, there's a board with the names and pictures of different gems. Some of the gems are the answers to these riddles. 1. Did you know that the queens and the kings of all times really enjoyed that pretty purple color of mine? 2. My name is like water. I'm as blue as the sea. Can you guess what I am and which picture is me? 3. Hey, I am from water as well. I'm seen in strings and found inside a shell. 4. You know me so well. Come on, be excited. I created the city where a wizard resided. 5. I sound like danger, but please don't be scared. I'm striped like a cat and named after its stare. Can you match the riddles and the gems? The correct answers are 1. Amethyst, 2. Aquamarine, 3. Pearl, 4. Emerald, and 5. Tiger's eye. The girl hears some noise and notices that the box on the table has opened. She comes up to the box and reads the next riddle. The queen went to the king to complain about her lady-in-waiting. In the morning, the queen put her amethyst necklace in a jewelry box to protect it from sunlight. No wonder, this stone tends to fade in the sun. She spent the day in the library reading books. At one point, she looked out of the window and noticed her lady-in-waiting. She was sitting in the garden, wearing the queen's necklace. The lady-in-waiting began crying and said this was not true. She would never steal from the queen. The king opened the jewelry box and found out that the necklace was still inside. Who is lying? The girl soon realizes that the lady-in-waiting is the liar. Have you noticed that the amethyst is now much dimmer than before? That means that the lady-in-waiting really wore the necklace outside. The girl solves the riddle. 3 gemstones appear at the bottom of the jewelry box: citrine, garnet, and alexandrite. There's also a note that says, "Figure out the weight of each stone without using scales. This riddle will help you." Can you figure out the weight of each stone? The citrine weighs 10 ounces, the garnet weighs 4 ounces, and the alexandrite weighs 2 ounces. Suddenly, the girl remembers. Her name is Melissa. She is a jeweler and collects crystals.
4 people are having dinner on a restaurant terrace. Jennifer is wearing 2 large gold bracelets and gold rings on each of her fingers. Martin's fiddling with a brand new phone and checking the time on his smartwatch. Connor has a tattoo on his hand and a dazzling gold watch on his wrist. Steve doesn't have any watches, rings, or bracelets, but he is wearing a smart suit. Only one of them is a millionaire. Can you guess who? It's Steve. He's got car keys in his pocket, and there's a brand new sports car parked nearby. Jennifer has old ripped shoes. All that gold's probably fake. Martin's phone is a knockoff, and Connor has old ripped shoes, just like Jennifer. Mark's teacher is great, but he's also kinda weird. He never lets Mark go home without solving some of his tricky riddles. Here's the first one. How many apples are there on a maple tree if apples grow 5 on a branch and there are 8 branches on the tree? Okay, this one's easy. Apples don't grow on maple trees. This next one's going to be harder. Get ready, said the teacher. Where are there cities with no houses, forests with no trees, and rivers without water? You've got only 7 seconds. Yeah, this one's easy too. On a map. Right, said the teacher. One more and I'll let you go. Who's the person everyone takes their hat off in front of? Mark knew the answer immediately, probably because he's a huge fan of Brightside Riddles. Can you guess it? It's a hairdresser, of course. Unless you want a really weird haircut, I guess. Poor Fanny lived with her stepmother and 3 wicked stepsisters. Her dream was to go to her favorite influencer's New Year's party, but her stepmother, Ruth, was pretty mean. She said Fanny could go only if she did everything Ruth asked. Ruth asked Fanny to bring her some water, but only gave her a colander to carry it in. How's Fanny gonna do it? Fanny needs to freeze some water and put it in the colander. Technically, it's still water. Time to choose the perfect dress. Fanny has 3 dresses, a blue one, a red one, and a green one. Which dress should Fanny wear? Find the best one in 10 seconds. Fanny should wear the red dress. That button on the blue dress is about to come off, and one of her stepsisters spilled paint on the green one. Which sister put paint on her dress? All 3 stepsisters are pretty mean. Time to investigate. Fanny snuck into their bedroom. 3 beds for 3 sisters. Bella, the oldest one, Stella, the middle sister, and Ella, the youngest one. Fanny only has a few seconds. Help her out. Can you figure out who ruined her dress? Stella's the culprit. There's a can of paint right under her bed. There's something all people in this world do at exactly the same speed. What is it? Aha! They get older. It flies without wings and cries without eyes. What is it? It's a cloud. What can you see with your eyes closed? A dream. Okay, enough with the easy short riddles. Let's go back to some harder ones. Jack and Jill set up a challenge. Whoever answers yes to every question wins. Jill was sneaky. She realized that there was one question nobody could say yes to. What question is that? The question is, are you sleeping? She waited until Jack fell asleep and then asked him the question. Whoa, those guys are intense. Emily and Mary are putting on their makeup, getting ready for a night out. They have really similar tastes. Their phones look the same, so do their lipsticks, clothes. So which one of them has the more expensive stuff? It's Mary. Take a closer look at Emily. Her dress kind of gives it away, since it's obviously a knockoff. When Mike was 25 years old, he tied a ribbon on a cherry tree in his grandfather's garden. 10 years later, he returned to see how much higher the ribbon was. If the tree grew by an inch each year, how much higher would the ribbon be? It wouldn't have changed position at all. Trees grow from the top up. The trunk just gets wider. A green apple costs $1, a red one costs $2, and a blue one costs $3. What apples and how many of them did Frank buy, if we know that he spent $3 using only 2 bills? Frank bought a green and a red one. He paid $1 bill for the green one and a $2 bill for the red one. Yeah, he could have grabbed the blue one and given the same 2 bills, but blue apples don't exist. Gotcha. 2 houses are on fire. One of them belongs to Jack. He's an accountant. The other one is a luxurious mansion that belongs to James, a pro basketball player. Which fire should the police put out first? Police don't put out fires. That's the fire department's job. Aha! Today, Peter and Zach's dream has come true. They've bought a trailer. Now they're ready to begin their long-planned journey through mystical places all over the country to make their vlog. But first, they need to pack. There are 3 boxes, but the guys can only take one of them. Which box should they choose? The first one. Take a look at the reflection in the mirror. The second box is empty, and the food in the third box is spoiled. Several cockroaches are crawling around too, probably not the best company for a road trip. Peter's aunt, Sarah, gave the guys 3 patchwork quilts for the trip. She said that she made all 3 of them by hand, but it's a lie. In fact, she made only 1 quilt and bought the remaining 2 online. Sarah was embarrassed to admit it because she was famous for sewing everything by hand. Can you tell which blanket is handmade? The third one. Look at this piece of fabric. It's identical to Sarah's skirt. She sewed these 2 items using the same material. Finally, Zach and Peter hit the road. They headed for the first spot. It was an abandoned library on a hill. Subscribers told the guys many ghost stories about this place. But our vloggers were skeptical and wanted to explore the building on their own. They walked around the library, recording videos and taking Polaroid pics. But they didn't meet any ghosts. When they returned to the trailer and looked through the pictures, they freaked out and locked all the doors. They left this creepy place as soon as possible. What scared them so much? Both of them are in the photo, but then who took this picture? The guys made a stop at the local coffee shop to get some hot drinks. As soon as they came in, Peter grabbed his camera and started recording. Why? Here's a ghost. The guys ordered sandwiches, but the barista, Fiona, had to prepare online orders first. So she asked the guys to wait for their food for a while. Fiona cut one loaf of bread into 4 pieces in 12 seconds. How much time does she need to cut the same loaf of bread into 5 pieces? "16 seconds. To get 4 pieces of bread, she must make 3 cuts. If it takes her 12 seconds to make 3 cuts, it means she makes 1 cut in 4 seconds. If Fiona wants to cut the bread into 5 pieces, she needs to make 4 cuts. 4 seconds for each cut makes it 16 seconds in total. Oy, my head's spinning." Zach noticed a fortune teller shop in the basement. It could make great content for the vlog, so he went downstairs. But as soon as Zach entered the shop, all doors and windows disappeared. Wicked Witch offered the guy a deal. She had 2 identical cards. One of them had escape written on it, while the other said marry me. Zach could pick only 1 card. If he got the escape card, he'd be free. And if he picked the marry me card, he'd stay with this creepy witch forever. The witch didn't want him to have a chance to escape, so she wrote marry me on both cards. Zach anticipated that the witch would do so, but he still managed to win and escape. How did he do it? He picked a card and dropped it in the fireplace, saying it was an accident. The witch had to reveal the remaining card that said marry me. According to the rules, there had to be 2 different cards. So the witch had nothing to do but agree that the card Zach had picked and burned must have been the escape card. Peter and Zach continue their journey. In the evening, the guys saw these 3 hitchhikers not far from a bus stop. They could only pick up 1 person. Who should they choose? This pretty girl is a werewolf. Hey, look at her toes. She has already begun to transform because it's the full moon. And this harmless-looking elderly lady is a runaway criminal. Take a look at the poster hanging at the bus stop. It's her portrait. As for the guy, he looks pretty harmless. Yeah, his clothes are indeed stained with something red, but that's just some paint because he's an artist. Look, there are art supplies in his backpack. The artist, whose name was George, told the guys about another interesting, mysterious place. The locals called it the Haunted House. 1 week ago, George heard strange screams coming from inside. He went to check the house. A minute later, he ran away screaming. What scared him so much? The portrait of this creepy clown is moving. Zach and Peter decided to explore that haunted house. When they entered the building, they didn't see any portraits, but they heard screams coming from the basement. They walked downstairs and found a loudspeaker that replayed the screams over and over again. There was a clown costume in the closet. Zach and Peter found 3 suspects among the neighbors and asked them just one question. What did you do 1 week ago? Mr. Daniel said, I was on vacation in Spain for 2 weeks. We came back yesterday. Jessica said, I have very sensitive skin. I wouldn't spoil it by wearing a clown mask. As for Henry, he said he had been preparing for his tests at college 24/7. Who is lying? Jessica. Zach and Peter didn't say anything about the clown, but she started making excuses anyway. The guys arrived at the local hospital to film an interview with a famous professor, Dr. Thompson. But first, he had to help 4 people. Kyle complained, "I'm misophonic. I wash my hands 100 times a day." Kelly explained, "I'm afraid of heights. I can't even ride a bike." Fred complained, "I have a strong fear of water. I can't even look at a faucet." And Jenny claimed that she had claustrophobia. She always fainted in elevators. Dr. Thompson knew for sure that only one of these people told the truth. Can you tell who? Fred can't be afraid of water. He has an aquarium with fish in his house. Jenny lives in a tiny van, so she can't have claustrophobia. And Kyle's apartment is too messy for someone who has a fear of dirt and germs. So it's Kelly. She sleeps on the floor, which is normal for someone with an abnormal fear of heights. Next stop, creepy caves. Zach and Peter went to see ancient ruins in the middle of the woods. Many people had disappeared there. The guys heard weird screams coming from the cave, ran toward the sound, and got lost. Suddenly, they saw 3 tunnels. The first tunnel was filled with fire. A hungry vampire was waiting in the second tunnel. And the third tunnel was filled with poisonous apples. Which way should they choose? The third tunnel is safe. The guys don't have to eat those apples. After their epic adventure in the cave, Zach and Peter went to the supermarket to buy some groceries. I'm guessing the apples made them hungry. Can you see a ghost in this room? Here it is.
Chris and William are getting ready for the day. Which of them doesn't live alone? William is brushing his teeth, but there is one more toothbrush in the bathroom. It's likely to belong to someone else, so I'd say William doesn't live alone. Now, take a look at these pictures of Philip and Kai. One of them lives with his girlfriend. Can you tell who it is? There's a pair of high heels and a dress in Philip's wardrobe. He probably has a girlfriend. Look at Luna and Evadine's rooms. One of the girls has a sister who she shares the room with. Can you tell who has a sister? There's a bunk bed in Luna's room. I bet she has a sibling. Okay, one of these guys has a cat. Can you tell who it is? It's the guy on the right. Look, the wallpaper at the bottom of the wall is scratched. Now, I'll be showing you some pictures one by one. Your task is to find what's wrong with them. Ready? Here's the first one. The sun is shining, but the camels don't cast shadows. Here's the next one. What's really off here? Look at the flag at the top of the building and at the tree nearby. It seems that the wind is blowing in different directions. This is impossible. This one is pretty simple. What will you say? The reflection in the mirror is wrong. Pay attention to the smallest details. What's wrong here? The school bus doesn't have a door. Something's off with this image. What is it? Look at the clock. In the winter, no sunset can happen at this hour. Esme was walking in the forest. She got lost, but found the witch's house. She walked in to ask for her help. The witch and the cat had a guest. The witch's grandson came to visit. The grandson had heard of Esme and of her ability to solve riddles. So, he had a riddle for her too. He took a t-shirt and cut 2 holes in it. The question was, how many holes does the t-shirt have now? 8. With 2 holes cut through, there are 2 on each side, 4 in total. Plus, there are 2 holes for the arms, 1 for the head, and 1 at the bottom. Every weekday, Kennedy eats an apple on her way to work. Once, she noticed a woman selling flowers. The woman gave a man a bouquet and said, "Tuna sandwich." The next day, it was yogurt, directed at another person. On the 3rd day, it was eggs. Kennedy got curious and walked up to the woman to get some flowers. The woman said apple. What was her weird ability? The woman always knew the last thing her client ate. Oh no! Someone broke into Monsieur Dupont's house, broke into his home office and stole some important things from his safe. Here are 2 photos of the safe before and after the theft. Will you be able to find 5 things that the criminal stole? They stole a wad of cash, a ticket to Lyon, and an expensive watch, a necklace, and a gold statuette. Unfortunately for the thief, Gabriel Dupont is actually a retired detective. What a great way to remember the old days! Gabriel decides to examine the house and look for possible traces of the criminal. Do you see anything suspicious in this picture? There are boot marks on the floor. The size is quite large. These are most likely the footprints of a man's shoes. Now let's go to the hallway where the footprints lead. Do you see anything suspicious here? There are shards of glass on the floor. It's strange because none of the windows seem to be broken. Could the thief have shattered something that belonged to him? The criminal entered the house through the window. Gabriel decides to explore the garden. Are there any traces there? It seems the criminal dropped his hat in a hurry. Now it's time to listen to witnesses. The day before, there were 3 people in the house. Gabriel's wife, Chloe, their maid, Mary, and the gardener, Adam. Each of them claims to have seen the criminal, but their stories differ dramatically. Chloe says, "I was walking along the corridor and noticed a shadow in the garden. It was a man with long brown hair. He ran away as soon as he saw me, so I thought he was just passing by." Mary says, "I was going to the 2nd floor and noticed the shadow. It was a tall man wearing glasses, and I think he was bald. He noticed me and slipped through the window. It looked as if he dropped something when he was running away. I immediately called you, Monsieur Dupont." And Adam says, "I was planting flowers in the garden. At one point, I looked up and saw a shadow in the hallway. It was a woman. She was tall, with curly hair. I started running towards the house, but when I arrived, she was already gone." Who is right? Mary. It looks like Adam just saw Chloe, and Chloe spotted Adam, but they didn't recognize each other. As for Mary, she thought that the man had been bald because he'd had a hat on. She also said that she'd been wearing glasses. That's where the shards came from. Gabriel asks Mary for more details. She draws a portrait of the thief. A middle-aged man wearing a hat and glasses. The criminal stole tickets to Lyon, so Gabriel decides to go there. He takes a bus to the airport. On his way, he makes a decision to brush up on his detective skills. Which of the passengers doesn't have a ticket? The baby in that woman's arms. Gabriel boards the plane and decides to practice again. Which of the passengers is married? The girl with a ring on her finger. Gabriel arrives in Lyon. He comes to the hotel to ask about the criminal and is now waiting for his turn to speak to the receptionist. While he's waiting, can you guess which of these people is not a tourist? This man. He's the only one who doesn't have a suitcase. Neither does he have any souvenirs with him. Finally, it's Gabriel's turn. He comes up to the receptionist. "Hello," he says. "I'm a detective investigating crime. Could you please provide me with the footage from your security camera for the past few days?" "Of course, detective. But could you please help me to solve another crime first? I think my dog has stolen some of my papers." Can you help the receptionist find the dog? Here it is. The dog is hiding under the stairs in the hall. Gabriel has received the footage from the cameras for the last 4 days. Can you find the suspects in these photos? Here he is. On the first day, he arrived wearing glasses, but without a hat. But look, a couple of days later, he got a new hat and an expensive suit. "That's the man I need," Gabriel says, showing the man in the photos. "Oh, I know him," the receptionist replies. "He's usually absent at night and returns only in the morning, at around 10 o'clock. Gabriel decides to check in at that hotel and wait for the suspect to return. After taking his things to his room, he sits down to solve a few logic puzzles before going to bed. The first one is easy. Here it is. 2 fathers and 2 sons found 3 oranges and shared them. Everyone got a whole orange. How is it possible? There were 3 people, a grandpa, a dad, and a son. The second puzzle is harder, but Gabriel still solves it easily. Can you? A woman needs to bake 6 pies. How can she do that in 15 minutes if maximum 4 pies can be placed in a pan, and 1 pie needs to be baked for 5 minutes on each side? Step 1. We put 4 pies in a pan and bake them for 5 minutes. Step 2. We turn over 2 pies, remove the other 2, put 2 new pies and bake them for another 5 minutes. Step 3. We remove the 2 finished pies, turn the other 2 over, put the 2 half-cooked pies from the first batch, and bake them for 5 minutes. The task is done.
Space-time collapse has occurred recently in one of the most remote galaxies in the universe, the Rhino's Eye. A group of space scientists accidentally integrated an ultra-deferential evaluator into a quasi-spatial thermostat. How could you? Well, in simple words, somebody put a time machine, which looked like a TV remote control, inside a teleport that looked like a washing machine. So now, dozens of time and space anomalies are popping up all over the galaxy. You're the leader of the Universe Security. This highly developed group of humanoid creatures with dog heads monitors the order in the universe and eliminates all kinds of stellar problems and space-time anomalies. With your squad, you now have to deal with the consequences of today, tomorrow, and yesterday's incidents and turn off the teleporting time machine. You get into your Star Poodle ship and set off on a dangerous journey. The first stop is the planet Up. There, all intelligent and unintelligent life forms move vertically. All people, animals, and other amazing creatures move only up, climbing endless stairs. That's where an alien object from another galaxy and another time has appeared. Find something or someone that's not from this world. Look! There's a snail crawling along that rope ladder. It's moving horizontally. You put the snail in a jar. You're going to send it home, to the planet Slime. Surprisingly, the snail can speak. It asks you for help. An unknown monster has appeared on its world, and now it terrifies all the inhabitants of the slime world. You decide to help and fly to the snail's planet. Just snails and caterpillars live here. The whole world is covered in a thick layer of slime. You can see huge snails, little ones, and even several snails the size of a skyscraper. But there is also an outsider among them. Take a good look around and find the imposter. Among snail shells, you notice the shell of a big hermit crab. It looks like any other snail shell, but a pair of claws peek out of it. You set up a force field around the crab and transport it to your ship. Your mission here is over. The snails are grateful to you. Your next task is saving the planet Sterilium. This is the most sterile planet in the entire universe. There's no dirt, no microbes, and no bacteria there. One-eyed flying crystals inhabit this pure sterile world. They can't talk since they don't have mouths, but they communicate telepathically. Your brain receives a signal from them. The crystals are asking for help. A huge meteorite is approaching the planet Sterilium, and you need to destroy it. You can't land on the planet because you might bring microbes here. Instead, you approach the asteroid and scan its composition. You find out the asteroid has come here from a parallel universe. It consists of sugar. Well, you tell the crystals they don't need to worry and fly away from the asteroid without doing anything. Why are you sure nothing bad will happen to Sterilium? The sugar asteroid will melt and burn up in the planet's atmosphere in a matter of seconds. You find out that a guest from the future has turned up on Earth 9. Technologies on this planet are not developed. Even the steam engine hasn't been invented yet. So you decide to perform your mission secretly. You arrive at the field and see 3 farmers. They walk on the plowed land and carry vegetables. One of them is a farmer from the future. But who? Look, that guy is using a plastic bag. You send him to his time and are about to fly away. But then, you notice something strange. 3 billion people live on Earth 9, and all of them are supposed to look different. But for some reason, they're identical in appearance. You see 3 billion farmers working in one huge field. You have a powerful sense of smell, and you feel that the inhabitants of this planet aren't human. They smell like nothing. Take a look at this army of farmers and find out who they are. They are all holograms. One of the farmers is flickering, see? But why would someone create such a huge optical illusion? At this moment, all the farmers, the land, trees, and grass begin to blink. The whole world around you disappears. You are inside a small white room now. Your face turns into a human one. Your mouth is covered with a bandage so you can't speak. Your spacesuit turns into a gray shirt. The door opens and a big guy in a white coat enters. He gives you a mop and a bucket of water. "Wash the room," he says, and leaves. You don't remember who you are or how you got here. You need to find out what's going on, but first you need to know what you look like. How can you figure it out in a white room without any glass surfaces, mirrors, and windows? Take a look at the water in the bucket. It'll show you your reflection. You look at the water surface. Everything is clear now. The door opens. You leave the room and walk along a long corridor together with the orderly from before. You pass by a room where other people in gray shirts are sitting. You enter the dining hall. The cook pours you some water and gives you a pink donut. "Lunch," he says. The orderly removes the bandage from your mouth. You bite into a donut. It has no taste at all. At this point, you realize that everything around you is a hallucination. You're on the planet Sterilium under the telepathic influence of its inhabitants. But how did you understand this? When you looked at your reflection in the bucket, you saw your real face, the dog's one. Everything is too clean and sterile around, and the donut has no taste. Crystals don't know what taste is, so they can't create it. They want to study your body to build an immune system for themselves and destroy the galaxy. Well, you figured out their secret plan, but how will you get out of here? The only way is to use some bacteria. But where can you get microbes on an absolutely sterile planet? At the moment, you look at the orderly and spit at him. Chaos erupts all over the place. The cook screams and runs away. Your shirt disappears. You become the leader of the universe security again, and your head turns into that of a dog. Your saliva contains microbes. When you spat at the crystal, you infected the entire planet. You leave Sterilium during the microbial apocalypse.